Welcome, welcome. Good morning, and welcome to Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Pottstown. Since 1967, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Pottstown has been a beacon of hope in our community. We are a welcoming congregation where all are valued and all are embraced. Whatever your creed, spirituality, gender, who you love, socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, age, ability, or national origin, you are all welcome here. We are glad you are here. We love you being here. Thank you so much for being with us here today. I would also like to thank Rob today for some technology, and Cecilia, our pianist, and all the volunteers whose blood, sweat, tears, dedication, and love keeps the inner workings of this congregation moving forward. Thank you for everything you do. I would also like to thank our presenter today, Elias Colon, who will be with us just shortly. But before any further, would anyone have any announcements today? Please come up to the mic if you do.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Clifford, and in a couple weeks, on Saturday, June 20th, I'm going to do another cooking demo, all on how to cook the perfect steak. I'm going to do 3 different cuts and talk about each one. I'll do wine pairings and a creamy potato gratin, and that is June 20th, Saturday at 10 a.m., and all proceeds go to this church.
Suggested donation is $35, but you pay what you want. He's not a money man. I'm Sam. I'm on the Buildings and Grounds Committee. This coming Saturday, right? Is the 13th? The 13th is when we gather together. I don't remember the times, the start time. Is it 9?
9:30.
Thank you. I just going to be doing our spring-summer cleanup. The major project is replacing the fence around the vegetable garden out there. Plus there's all kinds of other little things that need to be done, cleaning up the flower beds, trimming some trees. I see a few low-lying dead trees around, so I'm going to get that done. I know that Jay King is going to bring a post hole digger for the garden thing, so if anyone else has one, they can bring that too. I'll be buying the posts for the garden. Looks like the chicken wire fence is in pretty good shape out there. I looked at the gate this morning. It's pretty sturdy, but we can decide if we need to rebuild that or not. And it's just a matter of 2x4s. The other thing is, I want to just briefly mention, I'm not on worship committee, but I always like to mention this. On the order of service on the back is a survey. It's a brief survey. If you would kindly fill that out to talk about what you think about each service, the presenter, what you didn't like, any recommendations that you might have. It's always a good idea to fill that out. It really does help the worship committee kind of know what's good and what's not good. Sometimes we don't like the speaker, and it's like, okay, we don't want the speaker back. And sometimes we
That's not the case.
sometimes we really like the speaker, and we have
That's always the case.
multiple times, as well as being on the uplifting voices roundabout. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Morning, I'm Valerie, and this is some RE committee news/request. As a lot of you already know, Irene has mentioned that New Earth Traditions, the school that was renting space from us, they have left, and they have cleared up all their stuff. And it was all their stuff. So our nursery is now pretty bare. We had a few toys and things left in storage, but a lot of the stuff was stuff we got rid of because it was just old and we didn't have room. So I've moved back what I could, but it's still pretty lacking. So I am just asking if anyone has anything like toys that their kids have grown up, or like if you see anything on Buy Nothing, we could use some small chairs, maybe shelves, and there's nothing on the walls, so anything decorative even would be great. Yeah, I think that's it. Just let me know.
Thank you guys, and of course, it wouldn't be a Sunday if I didn't have any announcements. So I have some treasurer announcements and some social justice announcements for us today. I'll keep in a chronological order. So next Sunday, directly following service, there will be a protest in Pottstown, right at Hanover Street there, right downtown. And it is a June 14th protest to follow up on No Kings. agenda. If you guys can make it, please let me know. I'll be following up with an email chain regarding that, or also let Kay know, as she'll be spearheading it, as I won't be available on the 14th. It's also my mom's birthday, so that's a good thing.
It's Trump's birthday.
I know,
Okay.
but it's also my mom's birthday, so we'll keep it positive, exactly. Yes, so yeah, obviously a great initiative, more information to come, and I'll send an email out. Our next exciting thing that we have going on is on June 21st is our pledge drive. It's a culmination of it. So meanwhile, if any of you have it within your heart to update your pledge cards and pledge just a little bit more or a lot more, we appreciate really all of it. We have quite a few financial considerations currently. One of the big things, we're trying to replace all the furnace and all the AC units here, which is just under $30,000. Estimates are coming up. And we're also just replaced our water heater. So again, a lot of things going on. You guys have been very generous, and we're doing reasonably well, but we need to look forward. And so if you have it within your heart to update your pledge cards, please do so. I will have them after service for you. And furthermore, we're going to have some exciting things on the 21st for any of you who update the pledge cards. We have those pavers up front, as you notice as you walk in the front door, and we will be painting them. Anyone who updates their pledge card will get at least one to multiple pavers for their family, where they can, those tiles, they can paint them. Put your finishing beautiful touches on them, make them as colorful as possible, and we can line up the flower beds up front. We will also have kid activities such as duck races and other fun things. So yes, definitely be here on the 21st, and please, please, please update your pledge cards. Any questions, let me know at any time. And finally, again, a lot going on this month. On June 28th, directly following service, we will have our congregational meeting. So if you are a member especially, please attend. This is the time where you'll be able to vote for our new board representatives and some other initiatives, our committee chairs and so forth. So lots of exciting things, and I really look forward to seeing all of you later this month. And now we're gonna go into chalice lighting. So I'm gonna ask Liana to come up and light a chalice, as we will say our chalice lighting words. We light this chalice for the light of truth, the warmth of love, and the fire of commitment. May it remind us to seek wisdom, practice compassion, and build a more just and peaceful world. Blow a little harder than me. It's okay, do it again. Thank you so much for lighting it. Thank you, Sam. It's very strong flame. Shows our beautiful hearts that we have here, which true Unitarian Universalist fashion. So there we are. So, as you're putting out the flame, as the chalice stays lit, I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Elias Colon, who would like to read a poem today. He recently had a wonderful initiative through his nonprofit, Bluebird. And he was able to publish a lot of students that he works with, including some of the students here that came into his prior fundraiser workshop of poetry that he's held here, right? So yes, and we do have a shout out in his book to our congregation here. So he really wanted to read a poem for us today for our opening, and he is really excited to do so. So come on up, please.
Good morning, everyone. So, as Irene mentioned, my organization, Project Bluebird, just recently published a book comprised of student writing. Most of the writers in this book are between the ages of about 7 years old and 14. There's a few others in there, such as myself, Robert, and a few others, but mainly these are youth voices. The theme of this book is aligned with today's topic of discussion, finding purpose in pain. So it was hard choosing what poem to read, but I've settled on a poem titled "To the Words That Tried to Break Me" by Lewis. You showed up like the truth, like you owned me. One sentence, sharp enough to stick. You thought I'd carry you forever. And for a while I did. I let you sit in my head. let you tell me who I was, let you make me smaller than I had ever been. But I'm not that person anymore. I see you now, not as the truth, but as something I survived. You were never a mirror, just noise, just a moment that overstayed its welcome. I've been rebuilding myself in spite of you, piece by piece, breath by breath, proving you wrong without even saying a word. And now I am saying it. You don't get to define me. You don't get to stay. I am louder than you, stronger than the day you found me, bigger than the space you tried to take up. So go ahead, echo if you want. I'm not listening anymore. I'm too busy becoming someone you could never break. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elias. And now we will ask everyone to stand as you are able for hymn number 1008. When our heart is in our holy place. And now I'd like to invite all the little kiddos, the young at heart, to come and join Israel Elias, who is going to be reading another poem from Shel Silverstein.
Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. And the name of this poem is The Dirtiest Man in the World. You see him?
June 14th?
You see him? All right. Oh, I'm Dirty Dan, the world's dirtiest man. I never have taken a shower. I can't see my shirt, it's so covered with dirt, and my ears have enough to grow flowers. But the water is either a little too hot or else it's a little too cold. I'm musty and dusty and patchy and scratchy and mangy and covered with mold. But the water is always a little too hot or else it's a little too cold. I live in a pen with 5 hogs and a hen and 3 squeezely lizards who creep in my bed and they itch as I squirm and I twitch in the cruddy old sheets that I sleep in. If you look down my throat with a flashlight, you'd know that my insides are coated with rust. I creak when I walk and I squeak when I talk, and each time I sneeze I blow dust. The thought of a towel and some soap makes me howl, and when people have something to tell me, they don't come and tell me, they stand back and yell it. I think they're afraid they might smell me. The bedbugs that leap on me sing me to sleep, and the garbage flies buzz me awake. They're the best friends I've found, and I fear they might drown, so I never go too near a lake. Each evening at 9, I sit down to dine with the termites who live in my chair, and I joke with the bats and have intimate chats with the cooties who crawl through my hair. I'd brighten my life if I just found a wife, but I fear that will never be until I can find a girl gentle and kind with a beautiful face and a sensitive mind, who sparkles and twinkles and glistens and shines, and who's almost as dirty as me.
Thank you, Elias. Let's stay clean. Yes, Cecilia plays a beautiful hymn to welcome our children to our UU education today. Thank you all for listening to a wonderful poem, and let's learn to accept ourselves as we are. And now it is that beautiful time of offering. Before I invite Israel back, I would like to ask for your generosity today. Thank you for being here, whether you can give a few dollars or $1,000. We are grateful for your presence, your support, and your acts of service. People like you make this place go around. Your generosity keeps your doors open and allows us to continue being a welcoming congregation, being here for everyone who walks through our front door. It allows us to be a beacon of hope and light for the congregation and for the wider community. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you give. Again, thank you all for generosity, and it is now my pleasure to welcome Israel back to the podium in reflection of turning pain into purpose.
All right, thank you for having me, everyone. I really enjoy being here. I'm not one for taking notes or preparing, so bear with me if I go off. But I'd like to start with a story. When I was 17, I was at the friends of our family's house, and 4 men with face masks and guns bust through the door, and pistol whipped us, taped us up, and I was placed on a bed with an old towel over my head so I couldn't see. And it's kind of true what they say, when you lose one sense, your other sense is kind of heightened. So As I laid there, I could hear them rummaging through the house, opening up drawers, and they kept asking for a safe. And they asked for the codes to the safe with a gun to the back of my head, telling me that if I didn't tell them the code to the safe, that they were going to kill me. I didn't even know there was a safe in the house. I didn't live there. And at 17, as I was lying there, I started to come to terms with my death. Because in my mind, I thought that they would kill me because I saw some of their faces, and I was the oldest boy that was in that house. So if they were going to kill anyone, it was going to be me. So I remember being really scared at first, but then eventually I calmed down and just accepted the fact that it was over. And I just made one prayer, and I just prayed that they didn't touch the girls. I hated myself for that feeling of accepting my own death and being okay with it. I eventually was able to lick through the duct tape over my mouth, and I was able to bite through the tape on my hands, and I was able to get the tape off of my feet, and I was slowly able to get everyone else out. And we had made it through that day. And life after that kind of felt like those after credits in a movie, right? Like, the movie is over, you know the movie's done, and here's just a little something extra. And I really didn't know how to live. I was scared, I was angry, and I was just obsessed with that never happening again. But I knew one day I would die. We all die, right? But I kind of made a promise to myself that when that day comes, I'm going to be okay with it, but for different reasons. Not because I've surrendered to it, but because I would live my life in a way that when it finally found me again, I would be okay with it and ready to go. But finding that peace has been a challenge. Trying to find my place in this world has been a challenge. When those types of traumatic things happen, it just kind of shatters any ideas of what you had and how life was prior. There's just kind of a before and an after. But one thing to this day I still struggle with is sleeping. You know, I sat there and waited to die on the bed, the thing that most people find comfort in. I can't find the words to describe how I feel at night. So I'd stay up, and I'd start to write. And writing was one of the few things that could take this ugly feeling and I could make it beautiful, if only for a moment. And writing to me was never about sharing it. It was never about trying to do something like profound with it. I was just trying to survive. So I often say that poetry is medicine. And when I tell people I'm a poet, or when I tell people I teach kids how to write poetry, they tend to think like, you know, the Cat in the Hat, or, you know, roses are red and violets are blue. It's like, I'm actually asking these kids to bleed on paper, right? To take that thing that keeps them up at night and to do something positive with it. So, at night, I would write, but I was still suffering with this need for safety. I was always scared. I spent probably 10 years after that, maybe a little bit more, being the first one to throw a punch. Just because I was scared, right? I didn't want to find myself being a victim again. So instead, I kind of became the perpetrator. But I eventually found ways to channel that in a more constructive way through Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? There's a beauty about Jiu-Jitsu. There is no lying on the mats. So everyone thinks they're tough. Everyone thinks they're strong or this or that, but there is no faking it on the mats. And I found that so freeing. And I also found that I became less and less scared as I became more and more capable. So, I've spent the last 3-4 years teaching kids Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the intent of giving them that freedom that I found in it, right? There is a difference between walking in the room and thinking that you're safe and walking in the room and knowing that you are safe. And so, what I've attempted to do with this book and the programs that we run through Project Bluebird is helping kids find purpose in pain. Because for myself, living a life without purpose and with the thought that bad things just happen wasn't good enough for me. I lost my faith after that home invasion happened for years. And I've shared poetry in the past with you, kind of exploring that topic. But through our program and how we've designed it, we introduce a theme every day. So, for example, one of our themes would be learning how to fall, right? So, learning how to fall could be failing, right? So, in their writing, we would have the kids write about what's a time, like, share a time in your life where you failed, or you've fallen. And then they would write. Then we'll take them to the mats. And then we'll physically teach them how to fall safely, because falling is inevitable. I challenge all of you to learn how to fall. You know, you don't have to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, but you should learn how to fall safely. And I'd love to come out and teach you guys how to do that. It's actually fun. So then they're learning how to fall in their writing. So what we focus on is, okay, I feel myself falling, right? And what does that look like for you? Maybe you feel yourself leaning into bad habits again, right? Maybe you start drinking. Maybe you, whatever it is, right? Who do you lean on when that happens, right? So that's what we're exploring within the writing, and then physically we're doing it as well, right? So they learn how to break fall, right? So when you start to feel like you're losing your balance, there's a way to disperse all of that energy evenly throughout your body so that it doesn't impact you hard. And then naturally, what do you do after you fall? You pick yourself back up, right? So that is what we've attempted to do within this book, is to quickly identify where are those pain points and how can we find purpose in those pain points. So going back to that bed that I still don't feel comfortable on, it's become one of my greatest blessings. Because without that insomnia, without that discomfort, I would never write, right? Without feeling scared and vulnerable, I would never have pursued the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, okay? When I was in college, which I don't know how I made it to college, I don't know what strings my mom pulled to get me in there, she definitely did. I was studying psychology, and quite frankly, I thought most of it was BS. There's so much overlap in the DSM. It's like, I don't know if I have ADHD, autism, or I'm a hypochondriac. Who knows, right? But one thing caught my ear, and it was called Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. And I was still a very scared boy at that time. And I remember at the bottom, it was like your basic needs, like food, water, and then I was like, oh, well, I got that. We're good there. Not at the bottom. Then the next up was safety. And I realized that's where I was stuck. I was stuck right at the bottom. And there's 5 levels, and I don't remember all of it that much. But at the very top of it, there was this thing called self-actualization. And I thought it was impossible for me to climb up that pyramid. Because at the top, it was like fulfilling your own potential, like your full potential, not just for money, not just for status, anything like that, but really becoming the best version of yourself and really starting to do for things, for people outside of yourself, right? And probably one of the only things I remember from school, to be honest. And I just remember wanting that, and wanting that, and wanting that, because everything else just didn't feel good enough. It didn't feel real. And I had realized that I didn't want to live if I didn't get there, right? And so, ultimately, all I have been trying to do up to this point, and I think I'm there now, is to try to create a world that I can live in. And ultimately, that's what I'm challenging you to do, right? It sucks thinking that things just happen and there's no reason, there's no rhyme, there's no reason. I'm not saying that there's necessarily some person in the sky orchestrating all of it, but we're all presented with a choice. You can choose to dwell, or maybe sweep it under the rug, or you can run towards the thing that scares you the most. Because ultimately, if it scares you, it frightens you, if it wakes you up at night or stops you from sleeping at night, there's something there, right? There's something there to be learned. And I can tell you from experience, it's much greater to live a life where you can find the purpose in the deepest of pains versus living a life where you're running from it. I'd like to share with you a poem from the book. Before I do, I want to tell you about a kid named Javen, okay? Javen is a 7-year-old. He struggles to read. He's a little rough around the edges. I love this kid. We went to write the poems for this book, and it was really difficult trying to piece together what he was trying to say, right? But we ultimately got down to like, oh wow, what are we talking about here? And he told me something. He said, I don't like to talk about this. I don't like to talk about this. But I can write about it. And I was like, fine. So, I'm going to share with you. I thought I had it marked. Page 27. Mind you, this is a 7-year-old. That day. I rarely feel sad, but that day changed me. I learned from that day that not many people get love, but I do, and I appreciate it. So in a way, I had to meet that day in order to let it go. I remember those wise words, stay strong. I had no idea what he was talking about, because he wouldn't talk about it, but he would write about it. And ultimately, he was talking about the death of his grandmother. And he could not find the strength to actually say it. But when he went and found his little corner of the mat, because you have to earn your way on the mats, and you earn your way on the mats by writing, and at the end you're given a little time to just kind of free write some of the kids' doodle. He just sat there in the corner and he wrote, and I went over to him and I asked him when he was writing, and then he told me. And when he said that, he said, I don't like to talk about it, but I can write about it. I felt like, he said, I want to live a life, I want to create a world that I can live in, and I didn't want to go back to that feeling when I was laying in bed, accepting my death that way. I felt like a lightning bolt struck me down right there and I would die a happy man, because I felt like I did something good. You know, it is very challenging to talk about things that hurt us. We like to be strong, right? But even a 7-year-old can find the vulnerability to share an experience and to transform it into something beautiful. He said, I guess in a way I had to meet that day. If a 7-year-old can figure that out, I think all of you can as well. I will share one more poem from another student, Bam. So Bam is a complicated kid. Often I don't know if he's on the same planet that I'm on. He's just off doing his own thing. And he's like the type of kid that he can be disruptive at times. But then there's these moments of like depth and profoundness to him that kind of shine through from time to time. And he was writing this poem, and it just kind of, at first, seemed like a rhythmic salad of nonsense. And I was like, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? And I finally got him to open up, and I will share with you this poem. The name of this poem is Clean. All we wanted was some ham, but we lambs were shepherded by a dirty man. The noise was thumping like pots and pans. Far from clean, the man he ran up the steps and scared the lamb. The doors were locked, but one was slammed. Now opened, he found that little lamb. Knocked it to the floor, and the others ran. Blue lights flashed, sirens rang. So what happened to this dirty man? Did he die in filth or wash his hands? Sometimes you never know what can be. Now this man is 11 months clean. 10-year-old kid, sharing his traumas of dealing with his father, who's dealing with alcoholism. And in the beginning, it seemed like nonsense. So, I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that trying to make a lot of points. The point I'm trying to make here is that it's important for us to transform our pains into purposes as quickly as possible, because we're just wasting life if we're holding on to things that were meant to be either let go or transformed into essentially what I believe to be a superpower. So I think I will leave you with that. I would just say, if you have the funds to purchase this book, do know that 25% of each book goes to the children. So Jaden has been killing it, as has Ben. They're $20. They will be available in the back. I'd love to talk to you about the kids. If you have any questions about poetry, about jujitsu, please let me know, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Israel and Elias, for sharing so vulnerably and for introducing us to your work and teaching us about turning pain into purpose. And I do also like Maslow's hierarchy, having been a psychology student myself, so very wonderful. And we will have Elias join us again in October with a new topic, so we'll hope to see him then. And now I would ask, if you can, to rise up for our closing hymn. It's hymn number 1018, Come and Go With Me. Again, thank you again for your beautiful playing and beautiful voices. And now it's perhaps one of my favorite parts, if I can have a beautiful volunteer to do so. Anyone? Thank you, Chef Clifford. Beautiful. Love it. And as we do that, let's recite these words together in unison. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of wisdom, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and in our hands until we are together again. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you, Israel, for sharing your wisdom and pain into purpose with us. Please join us in the fellowship hall for coffee, refreshments, and conversations. And as Israel said, he'll have his books available just to read through and see. And we'll also, our social justice team, including myself, will be at the social justice table as well. And thank you again for being here. Safe travels, and let us enjoy Cecilia's beautiful postlude. you, everyone. Eat, drink, and be merry in the coffee hall.